Yeah, so mine was a multicam football league talk show. I mean, I feel like that as a name should be fine, because you said about, I did have like just a placeholder name, and I thought, well, why not just go basic and put that? It can change if it doesn't seem right. Yes, the idea is a multi-cam show discussing the lower leagues in football, which is there's not a TV show or anything like it. Like, there's no talk shows or TV shows about the lower leagues. There's the like Football on 5, but that is, they run through the matches, and that's every Saturday. So the first section will be discussing the atmosphere between the Premier League, or comparing between the Premier League and the lower leagues, because people tend to say that the atmosphere in the lower leagues is much more connected with the fans, whereas the Premier League, it's more almost like a business. So I feel like having the guests talk about that, it could show whether it's more connected with the fans. The second topic would be a hot or not section, which would be the guests discussing either a player or a team that have overperformed, like performed better than they were set out to, and then they'd also discuss a player or a team that have like performed worse than they were expected to. For example, Birmingham. So I think it'd be a good topic, as they can discuss it whether, so say if they do say Birmingham, because Matt Smith would be on the show, he could possibly argue that they have performed to a standard of reasonable amount. And then the final section would be talking about young players who could be playing for big teams in the future. It could also relate to like the World Cup, whether young championship players should be taken to the World Cup. For example, Ryan Sessegnon, who's performing well for Fulham, and should he be taken along to the World Cup, or would it just be another Theo Walcott situation? They'd also all be split up by VTs in between, so it's not just them talking to each other. 3 main inspirations for my show were the Football League show, the debate, and Fantasy Football League. As I said earlier, there's nothing massively similar, so but there are slight similarities. So the debate, the first one, obviously some of the topics on the show are about, they talked about Oxford United and their manager once, and it was just them discussing about who could be in the role, who's up for the possibility. The setup of the show, which is one host and 2 guests, which is the same setup that I want to go for, because I feel like the host would kind of keep the show flowing, and the guests are able to discuss what is happening throughout the show. The next show is the Football League show, which is like Football on 5, where the only similarities between it is about the lower leagues in football, and the topic of discussion will be what's happening in the league.
That isn't on anymore though.
Yeah, I know, it's because it's moved over to Channel 5. It's just like, it's that they're very similar basically, and also like similar VTs. Like the VTs I wanted to go for were like top goals of the season in the leagues, and also showing the atmosphere in the lower leagues, and in that they obviously show the matches, so they're similar VTs but obviously not massively connected. And then the third inspiration is that obviously, once again, not very similar, but because of the set, I've put it down as an inspiration because it's very informal. It's just them almost sat down having a chat with each other, and the set is very just football memorabilia put around. I also wanted like the sofa and the chair, where the host is sat on the chair and the guest is sat on the sofa. It's just to keep it informal throughout the show, which I found out in my focus group, which will be soon. So for my surveys, I found that making a show about the lower football leagues would be for a very niche audience because not many people would be too interested in it. So the first question I asked was, well, gender. For that, I have mostly females have answered, which obviously football is stereotypically more of a male-based topic. So when I asked, are you a football fan? I believe that to be the reason why most people put not a fan instead of a big fan and a small fan. I could be completely wrong, but I believe that is the reason for that. And I put, if you are a fan, would you want to see a show about the lower football leagues? And obviously, because it's 16 yes, 15 no, it shows that obviously not everyone is going to be interested in watching a show about it. So there'd be, if it were to be made like as an actual TV show, there wouldn't be as big of a budget as, say, Match of the Day, because more people are going to watch Match of the Day as opposed to something like this. For my focus group, the first question I asked was, do you prefer...
Go back a second.
Oh, yes.
The numbers don't add up.
Yeah, I know. I put, if you are a fan, would you want to see that? And I think people had answered that, even if they put not a fan.
Right, okay.
So...
It's skewed a bit.
Yeah, whether that's my fault for messing up the survey.
But then you'd assume that the 90 people are football fans, so
Yeah.
the 16
Yeah.
want to see,
Yeah.
So basically 3 people don't want to see one. You could probably kind of draw that assumption.
Yeah. I would
How funny they don't add up between the gender and the are you a fan, there's one short.
Well, someone skip that then.
Someone skipped the question.
Yes.
Some idiot.
From my focus group, the first question I asked was, do you prefer talk shows to be more formal or informal? And a quote I got from that is, I feel like you can feel more involved with informal shows, as you won't be sat at home being sat there like being formal. So I feel like having an informal show and almost informal guests, not like massively informal, but they'd keep the show flowing. There'd be a bit more banter between them, and it's just easier to watch a show that'd be more informal than formal. The second question I asked was, do you think VTs add to a show? And the quote I got from that is, if people are just chatting to each other for half an hour, it's going to get boring. So if you split it up, we'll give it more variety, which I feel like that is almost like an obvious thing for a talk show.
Yeah.
As it, obviously no one is just going to watch a show where they're just constantly talking to each other. So having VTs would definitely help my show, and it just adds something else to it. Especially as they would just be talking about the 3 topics, and that would just end it. And the final question I asked was, what VTs would you like to see in a show about the lower football leagues? And the quote I got was, I feel that there should be VTs devoted to the fan moments, as the lower league connects with the fan, which is what I said about one of the topics, or the first topic. So I feel like having a VT after that of like the fans, because my brother goes to like Oxford matches, and I've seen he's been in like some YouTube video where someone goes to like away days, and he was in it, and it shows like the passion of the fans there, and like they're all running down to see the players, and it's much more connected. So having a VT showing that would like definitely prove someone's point if they were to say that it is more connected. I'd also feature. They also said, but I haven't got a quote of it, they'd like to see goals scored, as they're obviously one of the best points of football really. So showing some of the best goals scored throughout the season, you just, one, it split up the show, and 2, people would want to watch it because they want to see the good moments of the season. The crew, obviously me as director, I put Bish as vision mixer because I believe he's done it once. I feel like he has. I don't know.
You should know.
Yeah, I know, but obviously we worked together for. We worked together as well. It was a role switch though from the last last term when we did multicams. So we've worked together, and like we know how we want the show to run. Sound engineer Ellen.
Matt Moreau's picture, sorry.
Whose picture?
Matt Moreau's.
Oh yeah.
Carry on, sorry.
Yeah. So yes, I had Ellen as sound engineer because she has done it before, and obviously should be able. It's not the trickiest job, but it's not the easiest, and I feel like she'll be able to just obviously keep the levels well. VT operator, I've got Louise. She's done that as well before, last term for multicam, and everything ran smoothly when she did that, so I believe that would work. Floor manager Adam, obviously he is working on multicam shows, so he knows how to keep everything flowing, and so he has done floor manager before, and he did a good job of it. For the cameras, I've got Troy, Harry and Benny. They've all done camera operating before, and obviously one of the cameras would be focusing on the guests, and it would be zooming in on the guests and zooming out, so I'd have Benny on that because I believe he'd be the more experienced cameraman and be able to quickly operate it. And then auto cue, I put Matt Murray, who has done it before, and I know he'd be able to keep up with the host and keep it flowing. For cast, I put the host as Bruce, because I have him as the host because he obviously is a Brighton fan, so he knows about the championship and can keep I know because he's hosted before, he can keep a show flowing, and he can also join in with the guests. The guests, I put Matt Smith and JP. Matt Smith, obviously Birmingham fan, so knows about the championship. And then JP, I asked him if he'd like to do the show, or if he'd be alright with doing the show. He says he knows a bit about the lower leagues, and I've just heard him talking about like lower league teams, and he sounds like he knows about it.
He knows a lot about a lot of things.
Yeah, so I believe that having them as the guests, they will be able to keep the show flowing and be able to keep on discussion.
So JP's in for a lot.
Oh yeah, I don't think he realises.
Set design, it's as I said earlier, to the Football Fantasy League.
Pompey shirt.
Yeah, I know it's Southampton's rivals, but I was having a look at the shirts, and it was like 15 quid for it, which I mean isn't bad. Yeah, so as I said, to Fantasy Football League, obviously similar set of the design with the football memorabilia just all around. Matt Smith said he has loads of programs, so though if I had like a table in front of the guests, they could just be laying there, which even if they're just laying there, it adds to the set. There'd also be the flags and the shirts just hanging up behind, and it just shows that it is about the lower leagues if I have all that memorabilia around. Costume, both the host and the guest will be wearing casual clothes, as it will be an informal talk show. Obviously I'm not going to have them coming out wearing suits, because it's just not going to be that show. They're just there to chat about the lower football leagues. Target audience, for gender I put predominantly male. That is just stereotypically more, football is more of a male dominated sport. For ages I put 16 to 35. That I've put that, but I feel like that could have been higher. It's not really, it's any football fan really, or that is a fan of the lower league and would want to see it, they can obviously watch it. Race and sexuality, I put not specific, it doesn't matter as long as they're a football fan. And then for the ABC I put E to B, because it's not, anyone can be a football fan. I could have even put A, because anybody can obviously be a football fan, so it's not going to be specific to a certain class. For budget, I put, if we were to rent a TV studio, it would be £199 for 3 hours, which obviously we don't have to do that. And then for the set, I was
So have you budgeted like that you'd only need a studio for 3 hours?
Not. Well, it wouldn't be. Obviously, if we're doing like rehearsals and that, we'd obviously need it for longer. But
setting up as well and stuff.
Yeah. So it probably could be a bit longer.
No.
And then the set, I was just kind of tallying some stuff together. But I'm gonna obviously have to buy some stuff because I can't just find lower league stuff. I just added some stuff together and it got to about £32 just for some stuff because I already own some stuff. So people in class already own some stuff. So it's just coming together, and then I'll just have to obviously buy a couple of stuff for the set, and then finally the location. Just need the TV studio because my VT would predominantly, or my VTs would be from like stock footage from the season. So I'd only need the TV studio to record the show and run through and get the setup of the show.
Right, well done, thank you, Sam. Right, I like the idea. Sorry, I'll put these down. There is definitely a market for it as well. I did think some of your research could have gone into that market a little bit more. So maybe you could have tried to go on like a Facebook group of Oxford fans who your brother might know or something like that, and get them to fill in a survey based on it. But maybe just looking to diversify your research and look in right at your audience a little bit more once you'd established it. You could have done like a second questionnaire.
Yeah.
You could have done a focus group. Sorry, you did do a focus group. The focus group questions I thought were okay. I thought you got some decent answers from them that were targeted specifically at who the audience were as well, if anything. So I thought there was some good stuff in there. I like how condensed the information was on there as well. So you hadn't overloaded the slides of information or text, so it was reasonably well laid out, which was good as well. Would liked a little bit more information about how your research may have informed your show ideas. So why would you have these talk show segments? Why would you have these VTs? It would have been nice if that would have been linked to the research.
Yeah.
The research influenced the content in the show. Okay, that would have made that a little bit stronger, if anything.
Okay.
Track design, I thought was fine as well.
I think you did miss quite a key point about like the set design, and it's like the way that fantasy football leagues set compared to normal talk show sets. Like you identified that one was more informal and one was more formal, but you missed like the main point of fantasy football leagues set, and that is like, are they football experts?
Yeah.
Okay, are they football experts? No, they're football fans, and that's exactly what the set is telling.
But they're not.
Yeah, but that's what the set's telling you.
Yeah.
You're watching fans discussing football as opposed to like traditional experts discussing. So it's not necessarily about the tone. It's more, well, it is, but it's more about like the point of view.
It's what it gets across. It's what it says. Think about it from the perspective of mise en scène. Essentially, the mise en scène of fantasy football league is that it's for you, it's for anyone who's a football fan. You're saying about the lower leagues being more connected to the fans, so I thought there was a point you could have made there about how the set design is designed like fantasy football league to show it connects with the fans.
Yeah.
It's not designed like, say, a sleek Sky Sports studio with suits, because then there's a disconnect there, there's an importance there.
And to be honest, I think sort of that kind of, I just ran through the pitch a little bit. I think there could have been a bit more, not necessarily information, but a bit more expanded explanation of a lot of your decisions. Yeah. So I think 5 or 6 times, like you said, you picked this person could then make it flow better. You like used the word "they'd make it flow" like for every single person you mentioned. And I think you could have been a bit more eloquent in explaining sort of those choices.
And stuff like technical roles in the crew. I thought the reasons you gave weren't bad, but you just needed to have that little bit more direct evidence. They've done this before. Show it. Okay? Show a picture of Bruce was edited before. like a picture's
Yeah.
1,000 words in that regard.
I
okay?
think Bish can vision mix.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, you at a pitch.
He's
but-
previously vision mixed this show, which was a very good show. So I know he can do it. That's what you got to get across,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a light sort of explanation. Could have just
Yeah.
done with expanding a little bit more.
All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
There's some decent stuff in there, and I do think the idea is good. But like Alan said, yeah, there are some areas that just need to have a little bit more expansion. All right.
Okay.
Right. I'm going to give you. I